Welcome to the L.U.V podcast. We have your host here, L.U.V Jones.
Hey, it's your boy Drake.
And today we got a very, very special guest with me today. We got the, the mastermind behind Digital Brilliance Hour, Kevin Epps, and I call him Mr. Epps. How you doing?
How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing? I appreciate y'all for having me.
Yes, sir.
No problem at all, man. It's a pleasure.
It's definitely a pleasure. So for the viewers at home who may not know about you, why don't you give us a quick introduction into who you are?
So again, my name is Kevin Epps. I'm a software engineer, full stack engineer. Started off, in the corporate world, small business world, been coding and developing for over 18 years. And I also am a part of the Boys and Girls Club, where I'm on the board there, and started out mentoring there in probably 2011. And in my years, I started to develop a gaming program for the kids, because I just felt it was great for kids to start to get experience in gaming, and then also music production as well. And so we started that around 2012, and then we did that for like 5 years off and on. We would alternate. And so in 2017, I decided to bridge them together, and that's where Digital Brilliance came from. So we bridged them together and offer both. And it's pretty much been growing since then.
That's amazing. 18 years doing that. That's crazy. That's since I was a little baby.
I'm about to say, I ain't been doing nothing for 18 years.
All right, man. All right, y'all. So I don't know if these jokes or not.
That's a testament to the longevity, though, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what is Digital Brilliance Hour? And I know you talked about you bridged the gap between the programs you was doing, but just could you explain like what Digital Brilliance Hour is?
Okay, so Digital Brilliance Hour is pretty much like a combination between an internship and a boot camp. So on both sides, on the music production side and the game development side, we try to build skills, build fundamentals in each subject and relate it to STEM and STEAM. Build upon those fundamentals where they can use those skills to build their own portfolios, and they can be transferable. Like once they leave, it's equivalent to real work experience, because we're actually really doing work. And so they can use that experience after they leave to either transfer to another job, or even if they want to go to college, they can transfer that work experience as college credit as well. So that's one of the main things we do. We teach game development. On the game development side, we focus on a game engine called OpenBOR. And that engine is a fighting game engine. Kids have already built many games, as Mr. Jones may already know. So they have their own portfolio. Even with the music side, there's several music albums that they've done. They go to a real studio, shoot a music video when we're in person anyway. But when we're doing it virtual, they still do the video. I mean, not the video, but they do the music album. But still trying to figure out how we want to do the video part. But yeah, so they're learning real world skills, and they're practicing it and applying it to real world situations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, my hat's off to you, and I'm gonna give you a round of applause that you.
Clap it up, everybody! Clap it up! We gotta clap it up.
Everybody clap it up. Like being a part of the program, I'm one of the teachers here at Digital Brilliance Hour. Just being a part of it since beginning of 2020. We created 2 games. We just built on a demo for Ogre's Mayhem. So we just built on that, and just just seeing the kids, how we gather their ideas and we get them to buy into what we're doing, and seeing their confidence build over time. That's like a priceless feeling. I have never taught before. I never thought I'd be like a teacher, but it's a fulfilling, it's definitely a fulfilling experience of
Sure.
just seeing their ideas come to light and just watching the end result. Because I know as a kid, I didn't have programs like this, you know, as a kid. And
yeah, no, I don't know. Like, especially not where we're from.
Nah,
like we don't have nothing like this too much.
Definitely not. And another thing, kudos to you again, Mr. Epps. Watching how you transition from being in person to virtual, you still kept it going. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. You did a great job.
I appreciate it. It was hard, man.
Absolutely, man. Because all business owners, like at that time, had to figure out it's either sink or swim.
Yeah,
like it's that's it. It's either sink or swim, dude. A lot of people sank. Like there's a lot of people out here who sank. Yeah. But like there's a type of resilience that you gotta have as a business owner to get things like that. So yeah, like Mike said, kudos to you on that.
Hey, appreciate it, man. And I was almost one of those who sank. You know, I was thinking, you know, because in person, you know, it's so interactive in person, especially like when we go to the studio and like the kids love the studio. And I was like, oh man, I probably ain't even gonna do it, you know. And my wife, she was like, why are you gonna deprive the kids of learning this stuff just because it's not the way you want it to be? And so I was like, no, you're right, you know. So we just kept working at it, trying to figure out the best way to make it virtual. And yeah.
About like before I came in there, did you make any games? Did the kids make any games before I came in there?
Oh yeah. So right before you came, we switched over to OpenBOR. So we made our first OpenBOR game 2019, the fall of 2019. And that was called Memory Loss. So that was the very first one. Before that, we were still making video games. We made fighting games, like 2D fighting games like Street Fighter. So yeah, and so we made maybe like 2 or 3 of those before you joined. But then I kind of switched the curriculum over to using OpenBOR right before you came.
Was there a reason why you wanted to add video game design to the curriculum specifically?
Well, because so the little history for me as well, I grew up wanting to be a game developer. Like I say at the age of 12, when Sonic 1 came out, so that was what, 91. So that was kind of around the time I was a Sega head. That was around the time I wanted to develop video games. And that's all I had was that dream, really. Like I want to say my freshman year, I was exposed to Donaldson, which was a vocational school that taught trades. They had typing, they had typing. And so, you know, they were like, well, if you want to get into game development, you're gonna need to know how to type. So I took that, and I actually got paid for it. It was like a summer program where they taught you trades, and then they paid you on learning different trades. So I learned that there. Got in high school. They told me if my guidance counselor, she was like, you know, if you really want to go into game development, you're probably gonna need to get a degree in computer science. So that's when I went to Central. Eagles. Yes, sir. Amplified. So I went to Central, went to computer science program, but they didn't have any game development programs. So for a while, I was just learning programming languages, and then towards my like junior year, there was somebody who had like this little small game development class, and so I went on ahead and took it, and built the first game ever built in at Central's grad program, computer science program. I learned a lot from. I mean, it was like a small class, but I learned a lot from it.
Right.
So it's always kind of been in me. And even when I went into the workforce, I was still doing software development. It wasn't gaming. I ended up building my own gaming company called United Minds Games, where I built 2D games. So I did that for a good 4 years. So it's always been a part of me.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, so that's why.
It's very interesting that you say that, because the same for myself. Like I knew around probably like the age of 6, I think I got a Nintendo 64 was my first game system, and definitely Donkey Kong, the yellow cartridge was my first game. I was like,
wow,
beat it, kept playing it. Then 007 came out, and then like around my mom actually gave me a Sega Genesis. So. Because she had a Sega, so like I learned Mortal Kombat from that point, Pac-Man, Sonic, and then like that's where the love for gaming came in. And I told myself, like, probably around like 12, I was like, I think I want to go to DeVry, because the DeVry commercial was on TV at the time, and that was the only thing about game design that was on. So I called DeVry, like, I'm 12. I'm like, yo, I want to do video game design. Yo, can you send something to the house? She was like, yeah, how old are you? I was like, 12. She's like, what? But it's cool, because like the only school, like once I got to high school and was about to go to college, the only schools that had what I wanted that was in the area was NC State, and I think ECU was on the rise to start a video game like program, and that was going to be in the next year after I got there.
Yeah.
So I just ended up going into computer science, which turned into graphic design, which turned into
man. You still in the world? You still in that same world? Yeah.
I play video games every day. Like this is like normal. So it's like it's cool to be able to talk to someone who's on the same, like in the same field, but actually know the back end of it and can see that process happen. Because I'm pretty sure you look at games differently than consumers like us look at video games.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we teach in the program too, to kind of show them the things that they have to consider when they're building the game. They also have to make sure they consider the end result for what goes into it, because when these games come out, like 2K. 2K comes out every year? It seems like every 8 months. And people just think that these games just grow on trees, but really what they don't know is that 2K is using an engine that they've already built, and which makes it easier and faster for them to build games. So them just learning the fundamentals and the mechanics behind game design, they have a better appreciation for the games. Yeah.
I was gonna say too, I remember when I was a kid, like I used to be a heavy gamer. And I know Mr. Epps always joke on me, because every time I talk about the games in the class, I always talk about sports games.
Yes.
But in the past, like I used to be a heavy gamer. I remember the first console I ever played was a PlayStation 1. That's the first memory of me ever playing a game. So I don't remember the game, but I remember playing on the PlayStation 1, and then progressed to PS2. But I had an Xbox and a GameCube, and I had a custom skin for my GameCube. So
nice.
Yeah, I had a light.
Okay.
Can we say privilege?
Yeah.
Right.
It was a bundle. I had lightning bolt edition. If y'all can pull it up, I had a lightning bolt on my GameCube.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I remember like I used to tell my mom, like, I think I'm gonna make a game one day. I told her that I used to just, that's the only thing I was like, they're extremely good. I ain't gonna say the only thing, but I was really good at playing the game, and I really enjoyed playing games as a kid. So I was like, I'll make a game, then I'll talk about the game I made. And but the fact that I actually was a part of that, and being able to say I've orchestrated, or I taught kids how to make a game. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I never, like, you know, as a kid, you know, you got dreams and ideas. You know, they say, oh, all right, so how you gonna do it? You know, you dreaming big as a kid. But the fact that I was able to fulfill it is just, it blows my mind. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of that, Mr. Epps.
Oh man, hey, you know, one of the things I try to make sure that we understand is that, you know, software engineering is not the white man's thing. You know what I'm saying? We got the same access. We can still do it. Like, we can do it. We're real. Once we put our mind to it and just understand that we have the same access to that world, man, ain't nothing we can't do in it. You know, and you actually built. I know you were teaching it, but you were actually building Ogre's Mayhem too, though.
Yeah,
you know,
I would be on FaceTime with this man, and he would be like in the middle of the class, like, "Hey, bro, hold up, man. Let me finish this line of code real quick. Let me finish like talking to these kids real quick." Like, all right, man, go ahead and do your thing.
A part of Ogre's Mayhem, what I had to do was I had a hard time with this, putting the music into the game. Like,
man.
When I was trying to put the music into the game, what was happening is, like, after the music played, it's supposed to loop. And I remember Mr. Epps, he sat down, he was like, all right, when you record the song, you have to stop it at a certain point so it can loop and keep going. And what happened was, I don't know what it was, for one stage, I could not get it to loop correctly. And it might have been stage 1, but I just could not get it to loop correctly. But I was able to talk it over with Mr. L to figure it out. Because that's the whole point of like troubleshooting is it's tedious work, but once you figure it out, once you like problem solve, like it's like a aha moment when you figure it out, you know, because it could be something simple. And, like, just designing the sprites, designing this, not really designing the stages, but like building the sprites and stuff. Like, I never did it. Like, I didn't have no concept of that. So, like, you made it easy for me to not only do it, but to teach it to the kids. And the fact that I was able to teach it to the kids and they're learning it too is, it's a wonderful feeling.
Man, no, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Like, what was some like mental hurdles or like some struggles you had to go through to get to this point, like with Digital Brilliance Hour? I know it wasn't always, you know, I know it's hard with coding, and I haven't even seen the full effect of everything with Digital Brilliance Hour, but just talk to us about, like, you know, some of the roadblocks in the way.
So one of the biggest roadblocks is really, to be honest, man, getting the word out. Because when we first started, so I've always kind of worked with different nonprofits. So like I said, I was, you know, with Boys and Girls Club, I was mentoring there at the time. And I mean, they still take part now, but so I was building relationships more with them, DPR, Durham Parks and Rec, Office on Youth. So trying to navigate across all of that was probably the biggest hurdles. Yeah, to be completely honest. As far as the program itself, like, I understood it had to grow. Like, because there was so when we first had it, 2017, you know, we had the music CD, we had the game, and we built a totally different game. We didn't even use the Mugen engine for the fighters. Excuse me, we used something totally different, which is Phaser JS, which is a gaming library for JavaScript.
It was already preloaded. Got you. That took
Yeah.
a workout the way though, didn't it?
Yeah, somewhat. Because I had a.
I know. Like I know it kind of sucked because you couldn't really change the movements too much.
Right. Yeah. And I tried to work in a little modifications with it. Like I said, like on the art side. So like yeah, you can add your own arts, but yeah, no, I couldn't do much. So after that's exactly why I changed to something else. Because it was simple, but also took a little time, and I wanted to streamline it a little bit while also touching each aspect of game development. So that's why I went to Mugen next. But that following semester, the kids who were in the first semester, you know, they saw things had gotten a little better. Like our CD was a little bit more better, and the game was better. So they were complaining about, how come we have all this then? I was like, man, we had to grow. You know, y'all were the first ones, you know, so, you know, so I knew that each year we would get better and better. I was big on trusting the process.
Right.
I didn't want to rush it. That's why I did with United Minds.
Do you always try to find like innovative ways every year to try to like make the program better, like on the software side, or do you try to just go on like the technique side, like how you teach it or what you teach per semester?
A bit of everything. Like I'm always, and sometimes I have to tell myself to chill out sometimes. I am always thinking of ways to improve, even with the software, with the curriculum, just many different ways. Like even with the game console, you know, that whole idea came from conversation that I had with Lab every day. You know, he brought that up. I was like, man, that's a great idea. And I know we could probably put the games on. We'll be able to, I have to figure out a way to be able to put the games on the console, but I think we could figure that part out. So I spent like a week trying to figure out if I can make that work or not. And I was able to figure it out. So I don't mind, like if I hear ideas, that's why I like talking to different people about stuff who are in the same field, because I get so many ideas from people.
Right.
And I don't turn away ideas at all.
Yeah, man. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to change your focus or change the way you think based off of like a new set of information is like key. Because like withholding that from yourself can like stop you in your tracks for your personal growth and for your business growth.
I agree, completely agree. I don't like wasting time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's the only thing we got. Right.
Exactly. You know, I've seen a lot of, you know, death in my life. So I value time so much. Yeah. You can't, man. You can't.
What were some of the best resources that helped you along the way?
The
connections I was. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Just to piggyback off what he said, or to help someone that like is trying to get inside the same space as you did. Like any resources that you found during your time and that you found now that can also help people.
Okay. So as far as the virtual space, so we use quite a bit of tools. We use I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Mighty Networks, but it's like a community-based platform where you can pretty much build your own community, like a Facebook. community almost that isn't reliant on Facebook. So you can design it however you want. You can, we got courses on it. Like everything about our workshop is done through that. I use Amazon a lot because we use their virtual machines. They have virtual machines for because we have to use PCs for our game development, and some kids, they may only have a Chromebook, so we use the virtual machine for them to be able to connect to still be able to do the work. So Amazon is definitely a good resource. Let's see who else we use quite a bit. Talking Points is a communications system that texts the parents. You can use it to text the parents any updates, reminders. That's a great tool to communicate with the parents. It's kind of like what is that other tool? Remind.com. I know people use that too. I kind of lean towards Talking Points because of the texting aspect, because I find that parents respond more to text than they do emails. Yeah. Because a lot of kids, a lot of parents, they're not as technical as I might be. So, but they work with their phones, so they at least get that, So, just you one thing you have to understand too is when you're working, knowing your audience and who you're working with, and everybody's not going to think like you, and so you have to adapt to what's going on and adapt to the situation so that you can apply whatever you need to apply to make it work. That's all I've been doing. I've been so technical for so long, it's second nature to me. So I have to kind of always step back, and understand it from another person's point of view.
Just to pick off that point real quick. I know in our last teaching session, I remember the calls before we actually was teaching the kids to run over everything. Literally, we had to break down every single step just in case they asked a question about that. But I thought that was neat because they didn't ask the question, but I was prepared just in case they did. Because we should be able to cover those bases.
Exactly. And it's no telling who might need that information later on down the road once they forget. Right. And now they can kind of retrace their steps. So it's cool that y'all actually did the work first.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to the other teacher, Mr. Stowe. Mr. Stowe and Mr. Epps would act like he the student, and what we had to do is we had to run through it. He'd be like, "What's that?" And I'd be like, "Oh, how we get to that? Where do I go now?" But it was good work because now when you go ahead and when you get used to that, it make it easier moving forward. So you have to be prepared for everything, right? Because they're kids, Some kids might not ask questions. Some kids might ask questions. They might ask a lot of questions. But for the kid that don't ask questions, you still want to be able to
have some type of resource,
right? You still want to be able to break it down just in case that kid that don't ask questions can be on the same page as well.
Oh man, making me proud, man. Making me proud here. Okay. Any other resource? I'm just trying to think of some more resources. I use so many. Those are the main ones that I use. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, what's the way that someone can kind of get into the same position that Mike was in, as far as like being able to be a teacher or to be like a mentor with you guys, just in case any of our viewers are interested in that too.
Okay, so best thing is to email me. You can either email me at kevin.epps@digitalbrilliancehour.com, or if you wanted to be a little easier, you can just do digitalbrilliancehour.com@gmail.com. Either one of those will work. Or you can go to the website and go through the contact form of digitalbrilliancehour.com. You can go to the website and use the contact form, so you want to be a part of it. We're always looking. Actually, within the next month or two, I probably may be posting a few job posts for that. Okay. Like looking for people. Yeah. So probably I mean, I know this will air later, but this just for your purposes, it'll be maybe mid-September.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Early mid-September.
Probably sometime, probably November.
Yeah, it's probably this episode specifically third week of November, fourth week of November. That last week. Yeah,
that's crazy.
We got a lot. We got a lot of content. We might have to start releasing 2 a week.
Hey,
man, hey, that's what's up though, man. Wow.
Do you wish you would have known anything differently starting out, or would you have took the same route?
I wish I would have. Like my network has, grown quite a bit. I wish I would have been better about reaching out to people. One of my biggest issues, I always like to do stuff myself, so it took me a while to kind of get out of that mindset to kind of build other people up to do it. So I wish I would have done that earlier, instead of trying to do everything myself. Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. Number one. Second one would be, I wish I would have, I don't know if I told you this, I may have told you this yesterday, but our curriculums, I'm getting them all copywritten. So we just received our first copyright for our beginners curriculum. The next ones are coming soon. I wish I would have done a little bit of prep for that to get those copywritten, just a little bit more prep, although at the same time I think this was the way it was supposed to be as well, as far as me experiencing things to be better prepared when success hits. So it's kind of difficult.
I know, especially being a black man though, and you're able to have like your own basically video game like company. I'm gonna call it a company. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it is a company.
It's a company. Be not only the owner, like you're definitely involved. You're the founder. I haven't known anybody else. Especially black man that did it locally, and the fact that it's growing, and the fact that you got a whole team, to me that's the right way to go. And I've learned a lot from that structure, because you have your schedule, like the scheduling is so amazing to me, because you'll have a backup plan. Mr. Epps have a backup plan just in case something went wrong. He'll have a backup plan. So all right, if such and such don't happen, here's what else you can do, and he'll help us out, of course. But he's trying to prepare us to be able to teach these courses on our own. So like, I just think like as a black man, that's amazing, because it's not a lot of people that's doing this, So that's amazing. For sure.
And all that comes from experience and what I've learned up to that point. Although I was mentoring before, but teaching, it's a little different than mentoring, and you start to just notice trends when you're working with a certain age group, stuff that you might have to repeat all the time. So you kind of plan for a lot of things a little more to make things a little smoother. So like everything I was telling you, I already experienced, so I was like, okay, let me make sure they know what to look out for, because I ain't know,
Right.
So I guess I experienced it so I can share with others, be a testimony to others, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, well, you know what time it is.
Yeah.
So for those of y'all just tuning in, we have a segment called Fast Five. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask 5 rapid fire questions. It's gonna be 5 deep questions, and you have a minute to answer.
Ooh, okay.
It's all 5 in 1 minute, just to stress that point a little bit.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes, in 1 minute.
Okay. I'm gonna give me a timer. Okay.
Got a time?
Yeah, I got the timer too.
Okay. Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, whenever you start.
You ready? Do steps?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's go. How would you like to be remembered?
As a servant.
If you could hold on to one memory from your life forever, what would it be?
Marrying my wife.
Okay. What are some ways you boost your self-love?
Eating something good.
Good. You could turn back the time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
Save your money.
And last question. What's one question you wish I'd asked you, and how would you answer?
Oh man, yeah, answer that in a minute. Man. Oh my goodness. Okay. I wish you would have asked me. Oh man. Oh, goodness.
It definitely went off, but you still got the rest of the time just to go ahead and answer the question.
Okay. Oh man. I don't know. I think y'all like really asked me some good questions. You asked me about what the program is. You asked me about my history. I went over my history. You asked me okay, here's a good one. You asked me about secrets of doing the program. I would have liked to have gotten a question about getting into software development in general.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
And how to prepare for that. And how I would have responded is fundamentals. Making sure you understand the fundamentals and not getting tricked by just learning a language and thinking you're going to get a job.
Right.
Get with people that's going to teach you those fundamentals, using YouTube and schools and internships. Even when you're in school, you need to have internships to get experience, because you're not going to get a job right out of college without experience.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Right.
yeah, right. Yeah. It just don't work that way. Yeah.
So what's next in store for Digital Brilliance Hour, or any projects you have coming up? What's next in the foreseeable future?
So we have in November. So we will be starting a new workshop in probably January, February, March timeframe. I'm actually working with some people to expand the curriculums. Just trying to expand the curriculum. Hopefully we want to have that console idea out by the spring. so kids can actually buy their own console and build games for it. You know, yeah. So that's yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see
Yes.
it.
So we're gonna call it the Brilly.
Really?
So the Brilly. Digital Brilliance Hour. So the Brilly. So So that's those are the things we that's coming out. You know, we're gonna keep the workshops going. Probably the summer camps, just continue growing and teaching more and more kids.
Gotcha.
Eventually going to adults too.
Sounds booked and busy to me.
I definitely can't wait to see it. Like to see
For
the
sure,
console.
man. For sure.
Yeah.
In the console, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Part of that. And so where can the viewers find you at home?
All right. So you could either go to my website, digitalbrilliancehour.com, or you can reach me at my email, kevin.epps@digitalbrilliancehour.com. Facebook is digitalbrilliancehour.com. Instagram is digitalbrilliancehour, the number 1. And Twitter is Brilliance Hour. Couldn't get the digital in there.
Gotcha.
So those are the best ways to reach out to. Email is probably the fastest way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all hear that, guys? Email.
Yeah.
Well, as y'all may know at home, remember, it's all love, and we're out.
Grateful that you're faithful.